Holy shit. Well, yeah, this is the start of the show now. All right, one sec.
What's that? All I could hear was the theme song and you waving.
Chew up time, goddammit. We live in a whole new world now, Lance.
A brave new world.
Just when I thought I was fucking done. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh. It's because I pressed a button. There's a lot of buttons on here.
That'll do it. You press one button.
Yeah. It's thank you. Yes, thank you, crowd. Yeah. All right. Bit of a rocky start, but we're here now.
We're back on top.
We're back.
You can't hold us down.
No way, dude. Lance Giuliano back in the studio. You are becoming quickly a veteran of the program.
I am. This is number 3.
This is your third
technically.
Yes.
Although 2 if you're counting actually released episodes.
Well, it seems every time you step into the studio, technical difficulties seem to happen.
What can I say? I ruin shows.
No, we can't blame that on you. But yes, you were one of the first guests.
I was
of the program. I believe episode 2, Lance Giuliano, and then we did try. I tried to have a fun. I had Lennon Izquierdo on not long after, and thought it would be fun to have both of you on, and promptly shit the bed in terms of digital storage.
Yeah, because we talked for like 3 hours. Like it was a really good
beautiful
talk sesh.
It was beautiful, and
cathartic
ultimately
for
it
our
means,
friendship.
yes, but it means nothing now.
Yeah, because
I don't have video
release
of it.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't get 50 views on YouTube, so it's basically worthless.
Hey,
in
my
mind.
episode got to 85. So I checked the other day so I could shit on Matt and his piss ass.
Well, we do. We have a lot to get into.
Yeah.
I'm a bit scatterbrained, as that seems to be how I've started a lot of the episodes lately.
Just kind of wide and then focusing in as you.
Yeah, but
as
not
you go.
even necessarily focusing more than just like,
whatever,
kind of bouncing
whatever
around like
your
a
brain
pinball
is
machine.
Like,
Yeah, it's nice. And do you like the West Coast studio?
I do. I think it's a lot more spacious. I think that helps.
Yeah, it opens it up a
because
little bit.
in the east side, Midwest Coast,
Yeah,
you're kind of in like that pocket of your room.
it was a little cramped.
So
it
you
was
feel
a little cramped.
a little boxed in. I like the spaciousness. I like the bookshelf behind you.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
That's one of my favorite parts of the apartment is just coming in and checking out like the.
Usually there's a new little secret on there.
This time I noticed the Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. That was a nice Doctor Strange, and I got the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther.
I haven't
the
read
full
that
thing.
yet.
I just started it. Pretty fun, pretty cool.
I've heard really good things. I've heard good things about his Captain America run as well.
Yes, that's on here.
Have you read it?
So good.
Okay,
Super cool. You can borrow the Captain America if you want.
I might need to. Because I'm reading the Ed Brubaker Captain America. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Well, I was looking up because I'd never really read Captain America. So I was looking up who'd read it, and then I saw Coates, and I was like, well,
Coates
that's
is
a
great.
legend. So I'm gonna check. But I saw Brubaker come up a
Brubaker
lot.
is excellent. I would say, not to derail the pod into like
off the
hyper-specific
start
nerd
going
talk.
nerd comics. It's
Like
gonna drop everyone off the bat.
hyper-specific.
Don't worry, guys. It won't be nerd comic stuff for too much longer. Give us 3 minutes to get this out. Go ahead.
Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are like my favorite comic book duo. They've done Criminal, which is pretty much the gold standard for like crime comics.
Cool.
And then Ed Brubaker wrote the Captain America stuff, and that's pretty much most of like the foundation for what we know Captain America as today.
Like
with the Winter Soldier, with him in the modern era, he created the Winter Soldier and all
and
that.
And
stuff.
I was reading something interesting, which is like, well, Captain America originally was brought out of the ice in like the 60s. And then like kind of every new writer that takes over the mantle when there's like a refresh just kind of has to push that back a decade or whatever till now he's coming out of the ice. And
pretty much. Well, they don't do that in Brubaker's run, which is what I think is interesting. Is they make him a character who's been around for a while, who is weathered, who is out of time, who suffers from PTSD from his time in World War II, and doesn't know how to handle this just like new fucked up post 9/11 America. So that's why I love it, because like it's just Captain America as like an actually interesting character. Because
finally, instead of just being like one good patriot.
Yeah, instead of just being a good patriot, he's kind of just like, I don't know how to function in like a military capacity today.
That's what I really like about the coats, Captain America and Black Panther, is like it tackles the, you know, exactly what you would expect them to do.
Yeah, politically.
Yeah, but it's not like so in your face. It's like nice. It's good.
Yeah.
Enough about comics, except I do want to say I did just read Frank Miller, Daredevil, Born Again.
Okay.
And that is apparently what the comeback Daredevil series is based on. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Looks like you have thoughts.
This is my hottest comic take. I hate Frank Miller as a writer. I think he is a bad writer.
Wow.
I know that's sacrilege because he's done. For the 12 people who have actually read comics watching,
it's less than that. I can guarantee you that. It's me and you, buddy.
Yeah.
This is just for us.
He's like an edgy 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
In all of his comics. And it's like, yeah, sure, this might have been cool back in the 80s when comics weren't made for adults, but like going back and reading it now, I don't need to read just a bunch of like misogynistic, overly violent comics. I'm good. I haven't read his Daredevil stuff, though.
Let's move off it. Let's get off it. Daredevil, I liked it. I don't know.
I've heard good stuff about that one, but post-pod.
Before we got a lot to talk about, but first, let's take care of some business. You know what I'm saying? We do have a this is technically a sponsored segment, but they're not paying us any money. And they're not paying me any money.
That doesn't seem like a sponsor.
If they were paying me money, it wouldn't go to you. I can tell you that much.
Well, fair enough.
That doesn't seem like a sponsor. You're right. Except
I would say this is just a favor. That's what it sounds like.
Well, but you can sponsor with more than money. Like me and this artist. Well, me and this artist kind of, I think, both have a mutual respect for each other, what we're doing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's absolutely using me, waxing me. Maybe he thinks me a fool.
Maybe.
And he's using me as sort of a conduit to... but I don't think that. I see the best in people.
Yeah.
And so Soprano Silver, are you familiar with Soprano Silver?
I'm not.
So a couple months ago... I got put in touch with a Jamaican artist, sort of a neo-Rasta kind of artist. And when the Ariel Berman episode with Justin Levine, we played a couple tracks from Soprano. So he asked us to sort of play his tracks on the show, which I thought would be nice. Maybe we get some of Soprano Silva's audience to tune into the Hunter Davidson Radio Hour, and then the Hunter Davidson Radio Hour can get put onto some new music. I thought it was very nice. And it was, you know, I hesitate to use the phrase like smash hit success, but it went over well. And immediately after, he sent like 8 more songs.
Oh shit!
To play, but they were a lot of the links he sent were the songs that I'd already played on the show. So that was a little confusing.
He's like, these are the hits, keep playing them.
So we went back and forth, and it was a little confusing. But then I heard nothing from him, and I figured, or whatever. And then New Year's Eve, so the first email from Soprano. So first of all, I'm on you can send, if you want to send something to the show to be read on air, if you have a song or a sort of a sketch you want to play, the Hunter Davidson Radio Hour at gmail.com. is where you would send that stuff. And most of it right now is all just like Instagram, Google, Adobe, RSS.com. Like that's the whole email account. And that's, you know, kind of a bummer. Yeah. But then November 3rd, there was Soprano Silva in the email, which was like, wow. Yeah, wow. And then so that was, you know, months ago. And then New Year's Eve, crazy time to send an email, right?
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, let's see if I can get it. 7:36 a.m. New Year's Eve. So, you know.
So the grind is
Soprano
not
Silver
stopping,
and Christopher Rose, who might be Soprano Silver, or maybe his manager, I can't tell. But you're right, the grind doesn't stop. New Year's Eve, got a new track. Didn't see it until like last week. And I had a burp coming off. I'm trying to burp less into the microphone because some people don't like it.
Some people are wrong.
Some people don't know.
I think
comedy.
I should be able to do whatever I want into the mic.
Right. Anyways, Let's Party Mix 1.
Oh, I'm down.
In my inbox.
Let's
Soprano
Party.
Silver. I do get a little a little nervous downloading files, strange files from faraway
this is
lands.
Totally music.
But he hasn't burned us
party.
so far, and I feel like we have a good artistic working relationship.
Yeah,
so.
what if this is like a long lost enemy of yours who's just trying to destroy the podcast through Let's Party Volume 1? He's going to be the only one partying.
That's a theory that if I was more Nixon-esque, paranoid, if I was more paranoid in my life, that's something I'd think about. But again, I try to see the good in people and the good in folks.
Right. And he just wants to party.
And he just Let's Party Mix 1. So I'm thinking maybe me and you now, we take a listen, yeah?
We take it, yeah.
Let's Party Mix 1. Soprano Silva.
It's a party, what's on my mind? Sipping Magnum and red wine. No mistaking, it's a night and dating. You know we gonna party like one of a kind. To the party, you got to be bold. Step on the dance floor, lose control. While I'm flossing, all my ladies dancing. You know we gonna party like one of a kind. Me party in the summer, in the winter non-stop. Man a fit touch you would come on a real top of top. Me neat and clean, watch how me woman them fat. Right now me got the city lock and them no better than that. Me swagger and me style, me drop it like it hot. I love the money coil and me vehicle intact.
I like this is
Some
fun.
people them a watch say oh that boy they so I tell them I love man a promote I hold me head up to the top. Me only concern, the music no slack. Select I keep it clean, me reputation charge up. Go tell taxi gang, we come on the block. We gonna party till the morning when the sun getting hot. It's a party, what's on my mind? Sipping Magnum and red wine. No mistaking, it's a night and dating. You know we gonna party like one of a kind.
All right. Woo. Yeah, nice.
That's
nice
fun. I like
stuff.
that.
That was the first minute 20 of Let's Party Mix 1 by Soprano Silva. That's Soprano with A's. Saprano.
Okay.
And Silva as
I'll lock that in.
Anderson or Vonderlei or any of the UFC guys.
Any Silva you prefer.
Yeah. So thank you, Soprano Silva. I did like that one. I really liked how it started too. I like that's a nice beat, right?
It sounded really good in these headphones.
It's a good beat. It sounded good here, and I'm sure it'll sound good when you guys stream it and you guys listen to it.
So how did you get turned on to his music?
It was a cold DM. I believe he slid in my DMs. I believe he had one day I went on Instagram and saw I had a DM request, and there's a lot of bots in there.
Sure.
There's a lot of you want to be sugar
a lot of women
baby?
throwing themselves at you.
I pay you
Some
$800 a week to be
women.
my friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yes, please.
Come on, man. Come on.
I'm a taken man.
You're not gonna get me with that one, dude. Come on. But then I saw one that seemed like a human sent it to me, and not a Android AI Ultron robot.
Yeah.
And I said, well, somebody took an interest in the show. That's not someone that I know personally. That's pretty nice. So, of course, we had to connect, and we had to link and build. Obviously, I fucked with his vision, and I think he fucks with ours.
I would imagine so. Is he coming on the pod?
I believe he lives in Jamaica. So if he ever, well, we actually have we got friends of the show in Jamaica right now.
That's
so maybe
true.
I mean
That is true.
Maybe one if he ever makes it to LA, he's got an open invite to come on the program. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd like it. But we can move on now. That's the sponsored
The Silva Hour.
The Soprano
second.
Silva Hour. The Silva Minute. Yeah. But we got, as I think loyal listeners of the program know, tomorrow I go under the knife.
Yeah, how you feeling about that? You ready?
I think I am ready. You know, definitely some nerves, a little nervous.
Sure. Yeah, that's normal to be feeling nervous before a major knee surgery.
Yeah, I've gotten my wisdom teeth out, and I got a tonsillectomy when I was a kid, but I've never
had
one
of those kids who was just like always getting strep throat
every other week.
Be like, little Hunter's got strep throat again, and it's like, Jesus Christ, Hunter!
God
like, what are you like? Are you swallowing doorknobs?
Yeah, what are you just licking everything? Which probably I think I would. You
seem like a licker, and
dude. I was a big
chewing on pencils and shit.
I was a big hands in my mouth kid, dude. Yeah, it was gross. I've replaced that with vaping.
A healthier, a much better habit for you.
No more germs in my mouth, just metal.
Just chemicals that taste good.
Yeah, what this, look, I don't want to, because I always fear maybe one day a family member will listen to this.
One of your family members will finally love you.
Lord knows they don't. No, and listen, I know. That was a joke, and I don't quantify love for my family based on whether they listen to my podcast.
No, like my family doesn't like watch all my short films, and like fair enough, half of them are dog shit.
Yeah, and also, a large part of me doesn't want them to listen to this.
That's the other thing that I get. Yeah, like because once you know that your family is watching or participating in something you make, you feel like you have to put training
the governor
wheels on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like my parents haven't heard me swear yet. Just because like when I'm with them, like I guess I code
you
swear
can do that
to talk to my parents. I'm like, hello, mother and father. How are you?
You're able to do that though?
Yeah.
I was so. Did you swear a lot as like a child?
No, because my parents were very strict. So if we ever said any swear words, we would have to eat soap.
Nice.
So we learned pretty quickly, don't say anything that could even be considered bad, and you're safe. Yeah. So like, even at school, when I got to middle school and that sort of thing, I was like, I can't say anything. I can't say, like, I would say ass and damn.
Yeah.
But like,
but when you said it, you'd be like,
I'd be like looking for a teacher or something.
Yeah, we had a babysitter for a little bit who was very religious.
Yeah,
and would if we ever, even if we ever, I think like talked back, she would try to wash our mouths out with soap. But I remember, I don't know if it was probably spoiled to be like, you're not. I remember at one point being like, you're not gonna do that to me, and she was like, what? And I was like, no. But I said that because because my father would get home from work and curse like a sailor. Like every other sentence was fucking shit. God, you gotta be goddamn fucking kid, like hard. Yeah. Which is what his dad was. And my mom didn't swear until I was older. Mm-hmm. And then she would let out like a shit and I'd be like, oh Mom, what the hell did you say?
Somebody pissed you off.
But it got to the point where, and then like at school with all my degenerate friends or whatever, like we all just, you discover swear words and that's game over on that. So by the time I was like 16, it became incredibly hard for me to turn that off. So but then I've, a family gathering or like doing something to help the youth. I like to get back to the youth a lot. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're around kids and you have to be like, I can't say fuck me in my little butt right now. These kids will be upset.
I can't say what my heart yearns
for. Fuck my
right?
dirty hairy ass.
You can't say little dumb bitch.
Yeah, which I want to say.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Something
swearing, surgeries
parents,
tomorrow.
Surgery. Oh, parents watching this show.
Yeah, right.
Feeling like we can't say fuck me in my ass.
Yeah.
Mom.
Sister. But it's fine. It really is fine. It's not a big deal. But anyways, so the surgery's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And initially, there are episodes in the vault. Unfortunately, I think I deleted the Lance Lennon.
Yeah, it's okay.
I might still have just the audio somewhere that maybe I put out one day.
That'll be the Patreon special episode.
Once I get to do it. Once this thing gets a Patreon. Whew, shit. Whew. But there's like one of the Jacob Burko episodes in the vault. You met Burko?
Burko?
Ben's old roommate.
Oh yeah, Burko. Yeah. Because he came out to visit. Yeah,
he came out to visit, and he was like, "Dude, you should put me on the pod." And I'm like, "All right." And I think we talked about video games for 40 minutes, and then he had to like
somehow worse than the opening 5 minutes of this.
Yeah. It was like nice, and then he was like, "I have to." I think he was like literally going to his flight to leave. I I was like,
He's like, I'm gonna
after
miss
40
my
minutes,
flight.
he's like, I gotta go. And I was like, okay.
All right, well.
So I recorded that maybe to release over Thanksgiving to winter break. And instead of doing that, I just didn't have an episode for a few weeks, which I'm trying not to do anymore.
The funniest thing to just be like, actually, I'm not going to drop anything.
Happy Christmas. But now I do think, so my initial plan was like, well, everyone, the doctor's like, probably 2 or 3 days, you really, not going to want to do anything. Yeah. And at first I was like, well, you don't need to stand up and move around to do a podcast. And now I'm thinking, now that and I've talked to other people that have had the same procedure, and kind of the vibe I got is that I'm not going to be in a super talkative mood for like a little bit after.
Yeah. My dad had an ACL surgery probably when I was 10-ish. And yeah, he just kind of like up on a couch for like a week after.
Yeah, you just want to like watch TV and just ice it and let it go. So that's
not really talk to anybody.
Yeah. So for the next week and a half, that's what I'll be doing. And so then I quickly realized, well, I'm not gonna leave my loyal, faithful, loving podcast audience without content for that stretch, because that would be unfair.
Yeah. What do you call your fan base, by the way? Hunterinos?
I have to think about that.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't come up with one. What are the loyal?
I sort of just consider them my family, honestly. It's like we have a deeper sort of. Right. No, that's a good question.
You need to come up with a name for your fans.
Name for the fan base. Wow.
Because out of like the 3 podcasts that I've listened to over my years on this planet, they always have like some kind of
some name for they might be the sickos, dude. The sick fucks.
Sick fucks.
The sick fucks.
Those gross fucks.
The gremlins, dude. My fans might be the gremlins.
Just this. I think you should start verbally assaulting your fans on the pod.
The main problem is
disgusting degenerates.
The main thing is once I still think the vast majority of the people that listen to the show are people that I know personally. They are my friends. Yes. That's most of the people.
So
that
they're
listen.
A bunch of just
sick, twisted,
damaged people.
But eventually, hopefully, that net grows wider.
Sure.
And then once I kind of get a read on that new contingent and I see what they're kind of dealing with,
read the room.
Then I think we can get an appropriate name for our fans. But so I need to stack episodes. Is the whole point of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to just do. I've done when Cash Bleasner came on the show. We did some call-ins, and that was kind of fun. I think that's nice, and it lets people, it lets everyone kind of be a part of the show.
Yeah,
and so I figure we do that, and then I've been wanting to get you back. We have a few things to talk about. I think we have 3 or 4 specific things to talk about, and then maybe if that gives us an hour, maybe I can bank 2 episodes off this little session, and then maybe me and you make some calls.
Yeah,
and we see how that goes. So
I can always just riff and do dumb bits. Like this is
maybe I give you the soundboard and you can hit farts while we're talking.
I can just like just run my hand around on it.
Well, this is the radio hour, and so that really to me feels like a radio show, which I like.
Have call-ins. The lines are hot, people. Call in right now.
Lines are hot. I know. I almost put on my. I almost went on the Instagram for the show and put call in, but then I was like, well, then I kind of have to put my cell phone number.
I think that's funny. I think you should do that. You said that like it's a bad thing. I'm salivating.
I don't think it would. I don't think anything bad would happen. It would probably lead to something funny. One day we'll do that. Yesterday, we went and saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah, we got that Sloppenheimer.
We got sloppy toppy at Oppie. And the first time I saw the film was right before I moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was racked with what I imagine what is an ulcer? What is a stomach ulcer?
It's like when your stomach acid starts burning a hole in the lining.
And you can just get those, right?
Yeah, you can get them from like stress and anxiety just because like the stomach acids will be.
Yeah, so that was probably the most, as far as I can remember, the single most stressed and anxious I've ever been in my life. So I was, and that was resulting in immense stomach pain.
One might say an ulcer.
It felt ulcerative.
Ulcer adjacent.
Yeah. So that was my viewing experience of the first Oppenheimer, but that was kind of a cool movie to see at that time. And in my head, I was kind of thinking, because it opens with him being very homesick and like fucked up about moving away, which at first I was like, oh, great. There's me on there in a month or whatever, which didn't happen. But then I was kind of looking forward to being like, well, whatever anxiety I'm feeling, there's no way. Like, when I see the anxiety that Oppenheimer had, after he did the fucking...
What did he do on that?
After he fucking did some things.
Oppenheimer did a thing. Him posting an Instagram story.
Oppenheimer did a thing.
And it's just like Hiroshima.
It's Nagasaki off the map.
It's like horrific aftermath footage.
It's the slides that he's looking at. In the So I did a thing.
And you're just swiping through the slides.
Boring.
Yeah, I get it. You're special.
And it didn't make me feel better, unfortunately.
That's great. That's really surprising that a movie about the traumas of nuclear war and the
didn't make me feel
of
better about
man's
myself.
destruction.
I was hoping that by that sort of like juxtaposition with me and Oppenheimer, it would make me feel better. And ultimately, it just kind of stayed the same. And I had to leave the theater a couple times because I thought I was gonna have a stomach incident, an accident, and I didn't want that to happen. So this was a much more enjoyable time, and we got to see it how it was meant to be seen
in 70 millimeter on IMAX,
big
on the big screen.
It's so big.
It's tall.
It's you really have to do this to get all the visual information.
I like that.
I kind of do too.
I ever since I've gotten out here, we always sit like really far back from the screen, but I kind of like it when I'm up close and I'm like searching the frame,
It's like a big painting.
Yeah, like you get lost in the image. Not to be too pretentious, but
no, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
and I have a question for you that I think maybe you can answer. So we're also watching. Justin's been watching Seinfeld. He hadn't seen Seinfeld before, and so we're watching it on Netflix. And Netflix has like they got the original film prints or whatever, and so now it's full aspect ratio instead of the original. Yeah. And but you lose some. It looks really nice and it looks full and pretty and cool, but you lose some stuff top and bottom from the original. So I'm wondering, and I'm hoping you can answer this, on Oppenheimer, when I saw Oppenheimer in not 70 millimeter IMAX, was that a compressed?
Yeah,
that was full. The full thing was compressed. It wasn't cropped.
It's so, at least the way that I think it works is it's more of a crop in on like that big 70 millimeter frame than it is a compression.
Okay.
Because when you go from 70 millimeter, like the actual like film frame of a 70 millimeter screening print is like a square. Whereas in so many of the aspect ratios in the film types that we're used to, like 35 and 16, those are more like rectangular shapes. So when you're moving from something like an IMAX to a more rectangular form, you're kind of left with not much of a choice but to chop off those top and bottom segments and like zoom in on. So you're technically, to an extent, getting a fuller image when you're doing the 70 millimeter because it's allowed to blow up to this height.
Right.
But just the way that the aspect ratio works, you aren't able to like condense into an image because it's just like two different shapes, and it's hard to go from that square shape to the wider rectangular shape without cropping in necessarily.
That's interesting. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, that is, I think, I am biased and we talked about this when your roommate Max was on the show. Love Chris Nolan so much.
Yep.
And I think when I left the theater the first time, on top of all the head shit, I was like, yes, that's gonna end up being one of my favorite movies of the year, but also kind of thinking like par for the course for Nolan. But when I saw it this time, I think I was able to really kind of appreciate it and be very taken with it. I was very But I said to you as we left, as I get older, I do feel some of Christopher Nolan's dialogue is a little, I don't want to say like amateurish or sophomoric, but some of it feels a little, I don't know, maybe melodramatic or just like,
almost
come
easy.
on. Like, come on.
Yeah. I found that especially in The Dark Knight. I like The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I don't love The Dark Knight. I think it's a good Batman movie, but
I have more leeway for the Batman movies in regards to that because it is like it's
it does
more
get
or less made
there,
for kids.
But even going back and rewatching something like Inception, it's just like a barrage of exposition and character beats, and
love is the only thing that can transcend space and time.
Yeah. Interstellar, I think he's a little bit better at disguising the exposition. Obviously, that line is like fucking bad.
Takes me out of the movie, and I'm so invested in the movie up to that point, and then I hear that line, and I go, bleh.
Yeah, like so much of Inception is just like hurling handfuls of dialogue at you that just explain away. And honestly, that's the whole reason the Elliot Page character exists.
Yeah.
Is because then we have a character that we have an in-universe reason to why we can just scream exposition at the audience for long stretches of...
We're teaching it.
Because we're teaching Elliot, so now you get to listen along, dear audience. And it's like, yeah, but also shut up.
Yeah,
like
but also, are we babies?
Yeah, I get that this is a confusing concept, but
then,
also like...
But then he needs to do that because then you get Tenet. And you don't know what the oh my god, you and Max.
I loved
God damn it, dude.
It's one of his best directed movies. Because I think up until Interstellar, he's not a good director. He's a good writer, but like I think the way that he frames and blocks and composes scenes is just kind of boring.
Wow, I see. I mean, maybe I do for a lot of rewatches, but for me, it's like, despite his slight shortcomings as a writer, as I see them, like he has such a brilliant knack for just like putting the pieces together, for like getting the people he wants.
Yeah, he's great at that.
In the things that he wants.
He's great at that.
And like showing it to you, I think he's just fucking... But I don't want to talk about Nolan the whole time. I want to talk a little bit more about Oppenheimer specifically, just because we just saw it.
Yeah.
What do you make of people... I read a Letterboxd review.
The finest of reviews.
From a really, really smart person.
The finest place to collect assortments of reviews.
Based on the way they wrote this review, they might be the smartest person in the world.
Okay,
that's what it might seem.
I'm
like.
ready for you to like read my own review back.
I think this person at least might think they might be the smartest person in the world.
Okay,
but they said that this was it was fitting that this was Nolan's first biopic because he really sees himself in Oppenheimer, and the Manhattan Project portion of the film, the whole from like them getting to Los Alamos to the test scene, is like a mirror parallel for the filmmaking process.
Yeah, I think that's one way you can read the movie for sure. I mean, that's a way you can read Inception.
Yeah, that's what they said. Just similarly to Inception.
I think, and this is something that I've talked to Max about, I think my read on the movie is it's him tearing down the idea of like the special man or like the powerful man, because that's kind of a trope that he does use early on with like his Dark Knight movies or with Inception, where it's like there's this one great man, this great figure who's like better than people in some way.
He knows more.
Yeah, he knows more. He's more capable, and we should like honor and revere that man. Obviously, that is a bit of a problematic.
And this is a teardown of that. Cool.
Yeah, because like that's obviously not a great philosophy to have, to be like we should worship these figures who we perceive to be better than us in some capacity.
Interesting.
And Oppenheimer, I think Dunkirk through Oppenheimer is Nolan responding to that. Because Oppenheimer is very much like, here's this figure who's great at this one thing, who on paper we should revere, but also he's responsible for destruction and hundreds and thousands of deaths and all those sorts of things.
That's good. And I really want to rewatch Dunkirk now.
Dunkirk is my favorite Nolan.
And I also want to rewatch, now that you said that, and a movie that Christopher Nolan didn't write or direct, but I think is pretty heavily credited on, which is Man of Steel. What are your thoughts on Zack Snyder's Man of Steel?
I
want to rewatch
Zack Snyder seems
Steel.
like a lovely guy.
Listen, I don't like a lot of Zack Snyder movies. I really don't. The trailer for Man of Steel is the best movie trailer ever. Dispute that. Why don't you?
Checkmate. I have been had, dear listeners.
The fucking music in that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I just think he's.
But still, I think that goes back to. I think that would play. I could see how Nolan maybe would have gotten some of those sprinkled. Some of his little.
And I think that's before he recognized what he was doing was like.
Ooh,
ideologically a little bad.
Kind of a not awesome philosophy.
Yeah, because even with like Interstellar, he still has traces of that philosophy where it's like this one great pilot. At least he's on a team, but there's still like an element to it.
He's the one that's going to do
by the
this.
time he gets to Dunkirk, he's fully like, oh, it takes all of us working in lockstep to like like it isn't just about one of us. It's about all of us as a collective humanity working together to accomplish this. And I think everything from Dunkirk on is him. And I think Oppenheimer most explicitly is him being like, sorry, guys, I was a little bit wrong.
I may have been wrong.
Yeah. I think it's his most like, whoops.
I was don't listen to all that shit that I said earlier.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't give one man the power to spy on all of us. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, well, and that's Batman, right?
Yeah, that's Batman. That's The Dark Knight.
Man, dude, fuck. I gotta watch Dunkirk again for sure.
Love Dunkirk.
So you think Oscar nominations just dropped? Me and Max did we tried to guess what the board was gonna do. The committee. What the fuck?
The Chamber of
selection
Commerce.
committee.
The HOA.
We tried to guess what they were gonna do. I don't know if we got it exactly right. What are your general thoughts on the noms?
I'm going to be fully honest here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck about awards.
That's nice.
And oh, stop it.
Badass.
I only do it so I can look better and be better than everybody I know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you do have, again, the moral high ground.
Yeah, morally, nice. I'm better than everybody. No, I remember I hit a point because I did care for a while, but it was right around like freshman or sophomore year in college where I was just like, why the fuck am I so upset? Most of my favorite movies didn't even get nominated.
Yeah, most of my favorite movies they don't even care about.
Yeah, like it's awards, and this isn't just an issue with like awards as a concept, but more just like the way that film awards are run, like the Oscars and Golden Globes. They're very elitist. You know, it's always dramas or those types of movies. Not saying those types of movies are bad per se, but there's plenty of other genres that deserve love and like adoration.
Right. And also, yeah, I mean, I think the Academy has been, like, for decades, people have been like, oh, well, the Academy is going to like that movie. But I feel like especially in the last 10 years, people have been like, well, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're you know, racist, misogynistic dinosaurs in there. So why the fuck do people care? But then every year, something doesn't get picked. And people are upset
outraged
about it
for no reason. And it's like, yeah, sure, I get that it's frustrating that these movies aren't nominated for like bigoted reasons. Yeah, that is tough.
It's fucked up.
But
and it is, and like the end all be all validation, like the final stamp of validation that you can get in this industry is like
it is an
the
Oscar.
fucking Oscar.
Which
is frustrating.
It is frustrating, and I do get that. But I just think like as a concept, when I make stuff, it's not for that. For me, I like all of the satisfaction I get out of making something is personal, and I think to hang my hat on so much of getting an award, because you see so often like, wow, Bradley Cooper wants an award. Touch fucking grass. Yeah. Like I don't know what to tell you. You've reached a level of fame and success that most people won't ever accomplish.
Yeah. And that's probably have 9-figure wealth. Like, who cares?
And it just, for me, because of the way the Oscars are run, because it's so heavily political, it's always like bigger.
Lobbying now.
It's mainstream movies that always get nominated and win. It's not like outsider art or independent movies that typically get it. So it just becomes like another thing for rich people to conquer, at least in my eyes. Man. I'm not saying don't celebrate movies. I think the concept of celebrating like the best of the best movies at the end of the year is great. But at the same time, why are we trying to take something subjective and cram it into an objective box?
Damn.
For sure. That's just my biggest hang up is like movies are subjective. That's why I love art, is because like you can see something, get one thing out of it. Like with the Oppenheimer review, I can see something and get something completely different out of that. Yeah. And to be like, well, we have to award one of these movies that it's the absolute best of the year, and that's it. I find that kind of disappointing that a year of like filmmaking is
It's boiled down
to just like, this is the best, and it's like, oh,
we found it. You won the movies.
We got
this year.
to the bottom of the case, and it's like, what is this, like the fucking Super Bowl?
That's interesting. And the other so Barbie's the big. Everyone's up in arms about Barbie, which, by the way, the biggest snub of the year was Iron Claw. I'm gonna get that out of the way right now. You can, if you know, keep. The fact that Zac Efron and no part of Iron Claw was given even a little tiny bone thrown their way is enough for me to lose full faith in the Academy. But I saw the New York Times op-ed. Did you see the headline?
No. I stay so far from the awards discourse.
And it was, it said, maybe if Barbie had worked as a sex worker, or been involved in an accidental murder plot, or lived in the Osage or whatever, maybe that's what it said. That's what it said.
Serious?
It said maybe if Barbie was in the circumstances of Anatomy of a Fall or Poor Things or Killers of the Flower Moon, maybe if we had to put this woman through emotional psychological warfare, maybe then she would have gotten a nomination. And part of me is like, yes, what you said earlier about like, movies can be fun too. Like we can really enjoy and love a movie that's not, but it's also like, we also kind of do know that the Academy does really like those, when people really put themselves through hell.
Yeah, and it's
to get
I understand that it is worse for women, but it's also just like Academy taste broadly, where they just like to see people suffering.
We like to see someone go through a real fucked up thing.
I mean, look at like the history of like movies for people of color winning. Like it's always like trauma bait, like 12 Years a Slave and that type of shit. And it's like, they just like to see people suffering and giving like traumatized performances. It's showy, it's flashy. It's not actually what's the best performance. It's what's like the most performance.
And it's all like, when I read about Oscar snubs, I have the same thought I get when I see All-Star snubs for basketball. Every year when the basketball, stay with me, stay with me.
He's cooking.
Because I do think a good point. Every year, people say this guy got snubbed from the All-Star game. Fucking Tyrese Halliburton, he's gonna make it this year. Whatever, pick whoever. Anthony Davis last year. Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson didn't make it. A lot of people think they should. Yeah. And now you get to talk about career awards. Jamie Lee Curtis last year. Yeah. Arguably, I don't know who it is. Somebody kind of got one that people were like,
it was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, well, but I saw one this year that people were like, that's kind of a career one. And it's like, okay, well, are we putting someone in because of the strength of their whole career and they kind of earned it off that, or what they did this year? And then the big thing for me is, okay, sure, that guy got snubbed from the All-Star game. He played an All-Star level season. They gave an Oscar-worthy performance. They deserve it. Yeah. Who do you take off the team? Who do you take off the list? And that's when I really, I did leave Barbie feeling like really impressed and taken with what Greta Gerwig was able to do, given a blank check on seemingly a stifling creative concept. And I thought she did amazing with it. But
is it the best movie of the year? I don't think so.
I mean, it got a Best Picture now, and it's like,
just because it's not the best movie of the year doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. And that's what infuriates me about having something like the Oscars, is then the end goal becomes like,
that's my vape, dude. Didn't do it again. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was
the aliens are talking to us. Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt your train of thought with a vape. Do you remember where you were? You can still enjoy a movie.
Yeah, you can still enjoy a movie. And when you like gamify movies like this, then the end goal just becomes like, is this movie that I loved going to get an award?
Right.
And like,
we boiled art down to Twitter fights.
Yeah, and that's what really like the online conversation around the Oscars is so fucking annoying.
Yeah, I
mean,
it's
just like the most insufferable arts majors from your college just like bickering in a really embarrassing way. And it's like, I know you guys are smarter than this. Like,
right. I've talked to you.
Yeah. Like, why are you throwing around just like the dumbest takes I've seen? Like,
and like,
maybe
I think, Margot Robbie was good in Barbie.
She gives a good performance.
Good.
Like, that's
she
end of thought.
She played Barbie well.
She did what she needed to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about
Sorry that there's
Barbies
like
too much.
5 other women who gave good performances. Like, it happens.
It would be, and I know a lot of people don't think this is funny. I'm still gonna say it because I think it's funny. If Ryan Gosling, if Gosling and
Hunter, you can't say
I'm
that.
not gonna. I know a lot of people don't think it's funny, but no, we'll cut that. I know a lot of people don't think this is funny.
Right.
I think it would be, maybe ironic's the better word to use.
Yeah.
It would be a classic bit of irony if Gosling is the only guy to win an award.
It would be hilarious. Well,
it would suck. It would go against, obviously it goes against the central theme of the movie. It's kind of funny.
But that's kind of my problem with the movie is like, he is the best performance. As like coming out of that movie, I was like, it is a little self-defeating to have your most fun character and like most interesting character be the guy.
Yeah. And I kind of thought America Ferrera, who like I'd like, but I didn't think it was. I kind of thought the daughter was more interesting than her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was because of the monologue she gave.
Yeah.
Which is a fine monologue.
It's good. We probably shouldn't.
Yeah. I
probably shouldn't going on the monologue.
My biggest takeaway from Barbie is like, it's the most 2013 feminism I've ever seen. Like, this is feminism that like my parents would agree with. They'd be like, oh yeah, we think women should have rights, and it's like, yeah, no fucking shit.
They did 100 years ago.
Yeah,
too.
like 10 years have gone past since these politics would have been marketable. And I understand that this is a mainstream movie. I understand there has to be some kind of palatability, but it doesn't really like push any kind of message that isn't like at least a little bit outside of the box.
And I remember I got like the group of people that I saw Barbie with, including, well, I won't say it. I got like some real significant pushback when I was like, it felt weird to me that like a pretty significant part of that, the main antagonist of the film is the Mattel people.
Yeah. I hate that subplot.
This is like,
I hated that so much because it's like, it's good PR bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, Mattel had to sign off on that. They weren't saying anything that Mattel wasn't okay with.
It's Mattel the movie.
Yeah. That really frustrated me too, because it's like, Mattel's not going to let them get away. Like, they're not getting one over on Mattel. Mattel saw this and they were like, oh, this is going to make people like us. When we like give some really soft criticism. It's going to make us seem self-aware and like, we know, we have our finger on the pulse. We know. Yeah. We're the good guys here. That subplot sucked. I thought Will Ferrell wasn't really that funny.
I thought he gave like a decent enough performance, but every time I was instantly jarred anytime we had to look at the evil Mattel, how dare they,
who signed off on this movie.
And then I'm like, this is the movie.
Yeah, they signed, like, they okayed this. They saw this cut. They wouldn't have let anything into theaters that made them look remotely bad.
Right. And I think the pushback that I got when I said that right after the movie was like, well, what would you, like, what would you... That's not Greta's fault.
Okay, then don't include it. My whole thing was just like, don't include it.
That doesn't necessarily make it a good movie. Like, I don't think that enhances. Whatever.
My thing is like, just don't bring it up then. Like, you're
absolutely.
making it like plenty of directors make studio movies, but they don't feel the need to be like, actually, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're the little guy. No, you're still Mattel. Like, there's no shame in making your big budget movie, but like, stop trying to act like you're better than it. Like, you're still making a big budget movie and you're still having to cooperate with the corporations. But that's just like the way the industry works. Tough.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. And ultimately, like, and this was in my Letterboxd review for Barbie, which is just like, just fucking go watch the Barbie movie and just don't.
You're gonna have fun. You're gonna like it.
Don't look for anything else in it. Don't look for deeper truths about whatever. Just go watch the Barbie movie and be like, I'm having fun watching the Barbie movie.
That was my takeaway. As I was like, this is fun. This is enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's not like any kind of political or ideological revelation.
No.
It's just fun. It's a hoot and a holler.
Well, I guess we'll we'll move off movies for a little bit.
We'll stop mansplaining Barbie.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some people that listened to probably turned off the podcast when we got into that. But
no. I'm actually just gonna pull up the Wikipedia page and read the plot, but like in a really snarky,
I'm like, what the
like
fuck?
white guy voice.
Yeah, and like I don't want my criticisms to make like I did like the movie.
No, yeah, I enjoyed Barbie. I don't like make no mistake.
Then I watched Oppenheimer right after.
It was better.
And then I watched Oppenheimer.
It was a lot better.
This fucking the guy that lives here.
Yeah, he's wrong.
You've heard his take,
oh,
right?
Oh yeah, no, he put Wonka above Oppenheimer.
He thought Oppenheimer was like the 20th best movie that came out. I was like, dude, you're fucking crazy.
Wrong.
Yeah. No, well, don't. Well,
I'll kill.
Lance, it's been a good couple weeks for us as football fans.
That it has. I'm wearing. I'm sure the camera can't see it, but I have a shirt with a little lion on it.
You got the Detroit lion on your chest.
I do,
as you should, because we're living in. I mean, did you ever?
No.
You never thought, right?
It's. I mean, the last playoff win was a decade before I was born.
We weren't alive.
We've talked about this off pod, but I grew up watching just abysmal football.
Yeah, me and you, like that's why it's been. I mean, God, I get very emotional about sports because I think they're the best pure emotion, stakes, tension.
Yeah.
Battle, the best stories that life can give you. And it always works me up, especially when, the Lions are just so emblematic of the city, I guess, of the state. And I don't want to fall into cliches, but like
shitty for a long time and then kind of really good.
I mean, just keep getting fucked, keep getting fucked over.
Yeah.
Despite hard work and good people
always
that keep coming through and loyal. The fans are so loyal. And you said it, man. I remember sitting on the floor of my grandpa's house watching 2008, the last game of the season. I think it was against the Packers.
Yeah.
And my grandpa just losing his mind, being like, they're going to go 0-16. This is it. This is the worst football team we've ever seen. Like, my grandpa was pushed to conspiracy theories by the Detroit Lions. He thought that the coach in the 80s like had dirt on the Ford family, and he thought the Fords had dirt on the commissioner. He thought there was some crazy, like, that was how bad and hopeless this football team. A sound man of logic and reason was pushed to
grasping
conspiracy theories. And so we saw the worst. We saw really the best athletes I've ever seen. I mean, when I think about Calvin Johnson, when I think about Ndamukong Suh, when I think about Matthew Stafford losing his shoulder.
And then nobody else being on those teams besides those three.
Oh, come on,
because those rookie contracts
I know me and you could go
big.
back and forth naming Lions from the early 2010s,
yeah, but
dude.
it's going to be like Michael LaShore or something
Kyle
like
Vanden
that.
Bosch, dude. Joik Bell. Holy shit. Brandon Pettigrew.
Stephen Tulloch. To name some more.
Louis Delmas. Dude.
Yeah.
God damn, we
Tony
can keep going. Fuck, man.
These are heavy
We watched
hitters.
all that.
Yeah.
We watched all of it.
Yeah, bad teams, bad games, like
and
heartbreaking losses.
And hopeless, like starting a season without hope. Every team is supposed to have hope at the start. In week 1, you're supposed to be like, maybe anything can happen. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. You start seasons as a Lions fan being like, maybe they win a few home games to make the home crowd happy.
Yeah.
Like when they go. Like that was, maybe we have
I sure hope I have
Bowler.
a good time at this game.
And then to have, and I saw, like, I'm sure you've been locked in. Similarly, like for me after Michigan won, I was just like, feed me all of the Michigan content you can fucking show me. And it's been this, I'm sure it's been the same way for you with the Lions.
Yeah.
And the ones that get me are the old heads, dude.
Like the
Benjamin
89
Cap or whatever. And the stories of like I saw one, I think it was Brad Galley, the Detroit reporter, that was like, I've just been going around asking Lions fans like what this means to them, and everyone being like, so many people bringing up their, I just got emotional. So many people bringing up their ancestors, or, you know, their parents or their grandparents, and just being like, I wish they could see this, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what the last 2 weeks has been, having a, you know, we watch a lot of sports around here with people from all over, but me and you, we're locked in on a wavelength that I don't think anybody else here has, because we've watched Michigan and the Lions since we were yay high.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we've seen a lot of suffering for these teams. We've endured countless heartbreaks.
And I don't want to discredit anyone else, like especially our friends that went to Michigan. Like I don't want to discredit their fandom, but like we fucking saw.
I do. I know you shouldn't gatekeep, but there's like that little half of my brain that whenever we start talking sports, I'm like, you don't fucking.
You weren't there for trouble.
Like
with
they'll
the snap.
talk about how excited they are for the championship and like that we won. It's like, you don't understand.
Dude.
I've seen us lose to Toledo. I saw us nearly lose to Akron. I saw us get dog walked by so many teams. I've seen so many Ohio State blowouts. You don't understand.
I went to Meyer in middle school, and they were handing out tickets to the Michigan game.
The first Michigan game I went to.
Dave Brandon.
The first Michigan game I went to was the Akron one where we nearly lost. It was like a 1-score game. And I just remember like leaving with my dad in disappointment, just like, Jesus Christ.
That's what it is?
I'm like, this is our team? I thought we were the leaders and best. What the fuck?
I remember this was before I got into football, so I must have been 5. And going to my dad's break room at work, and they had the last game of the Rich Rod era playing. And people are booing. It's at Michigan. Everyone's booing. And my dad's just going, God, Hunter, this is not what it's like. This is not what Michigan football is like. And I remember just being like, whatever,
that's
dude.
You could fool me, yeah.
And Michigan, but the Lions, I mean, two grandfathers, diehard sports guys that went their whole lives without seeing a Lions Super Bowl, and a dad that genetically passed down a cynicism about Lions. Like he told me, never emotionally invest in this team. They will always let you down.
Yeah. And
it it moves me.
That's kind of how my dad is. He's like built a wall to numb himself.
That's what it is.
Like
because
at the start of the Dan Campbell era, I was very much like gung ho, because I had been absolutely burnt out and just like emotionally ravaged by the Matt Patricia era. Just because like,
well, that was probably the worst. I felt the worst.
That was the most pathetic I've ever seen the Lions be. Just because we looked like a team that just didn't care.
And it was like, it wasn't like we had assembled a staff that was it was like the guy hired his friend. Bob Quinn hired all his friends.
And it just,
and they're all fucking around. And
it just seemed like a team that didn't want to be there every game. So I remember being so excited for the Dan Campbell era, and my dad just being like, I've seen this before.
I have the screenshot of text. My dad said Detroit will chew him up and spit him out. That's what he said. And it looked that way for 1 second, maybe.
Yeah, I even showed him the Hard Knocks season with the Lions, and my dad was like, "You're buying into this shit." You look at you, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited." And then 9-8 happened, and even then he was still
felt a little bit. Maybe we're moving
a little hesitant. And then this season he's fully swung around. I think he's watching the games on his own, which is a huge step.
That is crazy.
Because he used to, especially during Patricia, he kind of just like...
My dad, he said, I'm not going to waste my weekends anymore.
Yeah.
Watching this bullshit, I'll just be in a bad
mood.
For
us to go 4-12
I'll be in a horrible mood.
Yeah.
There's no point. And it's just special, guys. I don't know what we can say beyond that to demonstrate
it's
what it means.
Yeah, for me, it's like... the bonds you make over sports, with your family, your friends, and the memories that you make at these games. The first football game memory I have is the Michigan Notre Dame game under the lights with the Denard Robinson comeback. Because I was
my sister was there. I know. I watched it on TV and was so jealous of her.
Me too. And I remember I was up at my grandma's cottage up in the thumb of Michigan with my mom and my older brother. And we were like just doing kind of like yard work, helping my grandma out. Missed most of the first half of the game. And it was near the end, and we're sitting down, and me and my older brother are watching, and my mom was like getting pissed at us because we were up so late. And she's like, Michigan's losing. They're going to lose. Go to bed. And I remember the one thing I said is, there's always time left in the football game. And she got she didn't like it, but she let us finish the game. And by the end, I was like jumping up and down because we came back and won. And I was like,
Jeremy Gallen.
Yeah. I was just like pointing at the TV screen. Like, I told you, there's time. There's always time left in the game.
And that was one thing that Michigan gave you. I mean, Michigan would give you even in the. I mean, what do you make of the first 2 Brady Hoke years? Was that carryover from Rich Rod's recruiting that he got to implement?
I think season 1 was carryover, and I think Denard carried Hoke.
I mean, Denard and I was so I'm so glad that he found a home on the staff at Michigan and was able to get a ring this year, because he was the one that made me love Michigan football.
The only silver lining to those years was him.
But he also made me love the other players on that. I mean, Jeremy Gallen, Roy Roundtree, Dennis Norfleet. Yeah. Like, I remember those guys because of Denard Robinson.
Because Denard. Honestly, my prescription to the Brady Hoke is I just don't think he was ready for such a big school.
Yeah.
Because we kind of plucked him out of power or Group 5 obscurity and launched him there. Because like he's doing well at San Diego State right now. But his thing is like he wouldn't wear a headset, he wouldn't do all this stuff, and sure that might work at a smaller school, but when you're in a stadium of 100,000 people coaching against like the best teams, you can't do that. It just doesn't work.
It's crazy, but it's all Michigan put that all behind them.
Yeah, that's
erased it all.
I've long maintained that you can tell who was a Michigan fan before Harbaugh and after Harbaugh by the way they responded to Harbaugh. Yeah. If they think he's a bad coach, clearly they've never seen bad football.
See it,
because he took a 5-win team and turned it around to a 10-win team in one season. Yeah. One season, which is genuinely like outstanding coaching. Because I will call out a family member right now. My older brother, he didn't watch as much football as I did growing up, so he got spoiled by the Harbaugh era. Mm-hmm. So when Harbaugh went like, I think 9-4 or something like that, or just had kind of like a meh year, he was one of the people calling for him to get fired and like he's a bad coach and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, we gotta wait. He's a good coach. Historically, he's done well. He turned around this Michigan team. You have no idea what bad Michigan football is like. Yeah.
I will say I rode for Harbaugh from when 2014, was that when 2015 he got here? 15. From 15 to 19, I rode for him hard despite everything. And my Shane Werner, who we might end up calling later, my cousin, who was a Michigan State fan until he graduated high school and got into Michigan. Right. I went there and I lived with him. And he was couldn't believe that Harbaugh couldn't get the job done. And I was like, dude, when trouble with the snap happened, you were making fun of me. You were a Michigan State fan. You like shut up. And then 2020 happened and I was like, I think maybe it's time. Like I don't know who out there is better for the job than Harbaugh, but maybe it's time to restart with a younger guy. And like this, I don't think we're gonna get over the hump with him. And then obviously all that I quickly shut up and all that changed.
No, I think 2019 was the most frustrated I was with him, just because like it was just a weird year. It just felt like the most heartbreaking. 2020, obviously he caught a lot of shit for that year. Justifiably. However, I long maintained that the COVID year is a bad measure of any coach's quality. I agree. Just because and like the knee-jerk reaction is to fire that coach.
Clean house.
But I was like, no, I think it's just a weird COVID year. He couldn't adjust to it. Some coaches could. Other coaches couldn't. I mean, like Jimbo Fisher went like 9-1. And where is he working now? Nowhere.
Is he?
He got fired. Yeah, he got fired.
What was his buyout clause?
70.
Bees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to get off Michigan and the Lions, dude. So at the time of recording, NFC Championship on Sunday, man. It's I mean,
I kind of don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it either.
I don't want to jinx it. I'm nervous.
It's just it's been a crazy fun ride.
Yeah.
And
even if we get absolutely stomped in this game,
at the end
it's been a great
at the end
season.
of both of the playoff wins the last 2 weeks, man, I just think about everyone.
Yeah.
Think about all of them.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. Well, we're at an hour 05. I think I'm trying to think if I should. I think maybe we'll just let it keep rolling and we'll do some calls.
Yeah, we'll just
how's that
just
sound?
riff a little bit. We'll
All
keep
right.
chit-chatting.
Thank you guys. I don't know if it's going to be one long episode or two kind of nice episodes. So I'm going to do this. I'm not going to play the theme song. I'm going to do this. And if it is one, then you'll hear the theme. None of it will matter.